Just letting you know now, this will contain spoilers for the book and the movie. If you're interested in watching the movie or reading the book but have not done so yet, I suggest you do that before watching this video. Hello there. If you saw my review of Snow White and the Huntsman, then you know I don't really like the movie. So to balance that out, I'm going to review a movie that I actually like. That being Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Now, even though I do think that this is a good movie, I can't ignore the glaring flaws. And honestly, it would be flawed. The original book by Victor Hugo, which I highly recommend, is really dark and twisted. And Walt Disney's entire business model is taking dark, fucked up storylines and giving them happy endings, Hunchback is an entirely different beast. First, a bit of backstory. From 1989, Disney was on fire. They had just released The Little Mermaid, which many see as the beginning of the Disney Renaissance, and was a big hit. In 1991, they released Beauty and the Beast, which became the first animated movie to be nominated for Best Picture. Not Best Animated Picture, that wasn't a category yet. In 1994, they released Aladdin, which has the highest IT score out of these movies with 94%. Then they released The Lion King, which became the highest grossing animated movie for a few years. And then they released Pocahontas, which many see as a big letdown, and can actually be seen as the beginning of the downfall of traditional Disney animation. And Hunchback didn't exactly help. It's only kind of recently that this movie has found its audience. Now in this review, while I'm dissecting the plot, I think that I'll do a comparison to the original book. This won't necessarily affect my rating of the movie, but if a certain aspect of it falls flat, this might help explain why. We start in 15th century Paris, where a puppeteer tells the story of a gypsy mother who tries to escape the wrath of Judge Claude Frollo, but ends up killed by him on the steps of Notre Dame Cathedral. Yeah, your Disney animated movie opens with the death of a mother, and then follows with the bad guy about to drop a newly orphaned baby down a fucking well. But the Archdeacon tells Frollo that he committed a terrible sin, and convinces him that he will go to hell, unless he cares for the child. Frollo complies, but keeps him in Notre Dame's bell tower, and gives him the name Quasimodo, which the movie explains meaning half-formed, and tells Quasimodo that his mother abandoned him. In the original book, Frollo is the Archdeacon and finds Quasimodo on the steps of Notre Dame, and decides to take him in out of the goodness of his heart, and he named him Quasimodo not to mock him, but I think it's because it's a reference to a holiday of some sort, and that being the day that Frollo found him, and in case I was too vague, Quasimodo's mother does abandon him. We fast forward 20 years, and Quasimodo has lived his entire life in Notre Dame, and every year he watches the Festival of Fools. But this year, he really wants to attend the festival. His gargoyle friends, they aren't in the book, but I guess that I have to address them. But that'll happen later. They encourage him, but Frollo comes in and forbids him from going. Frollo, being a judge, has to attend anyway. Quasimodo decides to go out there anyway. Meanwhile, Captain Phoebus has returned from the wars and stopped some soldiers from harassing a gypsy street performer named Esmeralda, and later meets Frollo at the Palace of Justice. Frollo tells Phoebus that he was summoned from the wars to help Frollo search for a supposed gypsy haven so that he can, well, it's implied that he wants it annihilated. All these characters attend the Festival of Fools, as well as our narrator. It's a crazy time where everyone has fun except for our bad guy. Esmeralda invites Quasimodo onto stage when they're crowning the King of Fools, the Pope of Fools in the book, but when everyone finds out how ugly Quasimodo is, when Esmeralda first saw him, she thought that he was wearing a mask. They freak out, but Culpin, the narrator, rationalizes this as a good thing because, hey, we wanted this, remember? So Quasimodo is celebrated, until the soldiers throw tomatoes at him and everyone else turns on him. They bound him with rope and throw tomatoes, eggs, and other food at him. So yeah, the crowd suddenly turning on Quasimodo comes pretty much out of nowhere. They were just celebrating him! What the fuck? In the original book, I think that this happens later, and it's because Quasimodo tries to abduct Esmeralda, but it follows orders. Esmeralda frees Quasimodo. This angers Frollo because he wanted Quasimodo to learn a lesson, but she uses what he calls witchcraft to escape. She sneaks into Notre Dame after Quasimodo does, but Phoebus follows her. He doesn't intend on actually arresting her because of the rules of Sanctuary. Frollo is fully intent on arresting her, however, but the Archdeacon assures her that Frollo won't touch her. Frollo and his men leave, but he assures her that her sanctuary is in fact a prison. Esmeralda finds Quasimodo and chases him into the bell tower. They get to know each other, and Quasimodo helps her escape by jumping off the roof. Something similar to this happens in the book, but it's a lot closer to this. After Esmeralda leaves, Quasimodo sees her as an angel, but Frollo sees her as a demon, but nonetheless becomes obsessed with her. After one of the guards tells Frollo that Esmeralda escaped the cathedral, he vows, I'll find her if I have to burn down all of Paris! The longer Frollo's search goes, the more desperate and cruel his tactics become, which angers Phoebus. But it's when Phoebus refuses to set a family's house on fire that Frollo orders him to be executed. Esmeralda, however, finds his body and brings him to Notre Dame's bell tower to treat his wounds. Esmeralda and Phoebus have an intimate moment which saddens Quasimodo, but when Frollo returns to Quasimodo, Esmeralda escapes, but has to leave Phoebus there. But Quasimodo hides him from Frollo and tells Esmeralda where a secret exit is. Wait, why didn't you use that secret exit earlier instead of jumping off the roof? Whatever. Anyway, Frollo tells Quasimodo that he's found the gypsy haven known as the Court of Miracles and plans to lead an army of 1,000 men there. Quasimodo and Phoebus realize that they need to have warned Esmeralda and the other gypsies, so they use a map that Esmeralda gave Quasimodo earlier in the movie to get there. But it's a trap. Frollo had suspected that Quasimodo released Esmeralda, and also suspected that Quasimodo could lead him to the gypsy haven. We now reach the film's climax. And Esmeralda is about to be burnt at the stake, while Phoebus and the other gypsies are forced to watch, and Quasimodo is in chains. But he breaks free from those chains and swings down to rescue Esmeralda, and returns to Notre Dame to announce it as her sanctuary once again. A battle between the gypsies, the Parisian peasants, and the Parisian guards go down. As Frollo marches into the cathedral to murder Esmeralda, who Quasimodo thinks has died, whom Frollo finally intends to kill, Quasimodo overpowers Frollo and discovers that Esmeralda is still alive. Quasimodo carries her with him while Frollo continues to chase after them. Frollo manages to cause Quasimodo to fall from the balcony, but Esmeralda tries to hold on to him. Frollo stands himself on a gargoyle and tries to kill our heroes, but the gargoyle breaks from the building and Frollo falls into the fires below, representing his descent into hell. Our heroes win, and Quasimodo is accepted among the people as a hero. Unless you've read the book, then in that case, after Quasimodo takes Esmeralda into Notre Dame as a sanctuary, she spends many months in there until the Court of Parliament removes her right to sanctuary, and she's forced to escape with the help of her false husband Gringior and an unknown man who reveals himself to be Frollo, who gives her an ultimatum: me or death. Esmeralda refuses to accept Frollo's love, so he hands her over to the guards, where she's hanged. When Quasimodo finds her hanging corpse and sees Frollo laughing, Quasimodo throws Frollo from the roof of Notre Dame, killing him. Quasimodo then goes to a huge graveyard in Paris where the condemned are discarded, and stays there with Esmeralda's body until he dies too. 18 months later, their skeletons are found, and when someone tries to separate them, they crumble to dust.